Okay, so you guys have been patient with my little story with the scissors. It's been a couple weeks, and I'm going to be honest here, I gave up. This is a part two, so you're going to have to go back and watch the original. But I was talking about how the bane of my existence is these scissors that I do with the office supplies that I do, and that I saw someone on TikTok doing scissors with Mod Podge instead of what I do, and they're only charging like $13 as opposed to my 20 something. So settle in here because I'm going to show you in about a 4-minute video what it takes to do the scissors my way and the reason I charge what I charge. Now, you can get these scissors pretty much in a lot of different places, especially on Etsy. And, the prices range. The prices range anywhere from $10 to $30. I'm right in the middle. I'm in the 20s. And doing my research, the ones with Mod Podge cost $10 to $15. And doing it myself that way, I now know why. So now that I've talked enough, here we go. So we sand them completely down, then we paint them twice. Now, I use UV resin. I don't use Mod Podge to apply my glitter. Again, durability, and I don't have to wait between coats for it to dry. I just put it under my UV light and it is cured within probably a minute or two, and I can just move on to the second coat. Now, don't get me wrong, they still take about 2 weeks. So this is the first coat of glitter, first coat of glitter. And you also have to clean up the edges to make sure that the glitter doesn't seep onto the actual metal part of the scissor. And as you can see here, I missed a couple spots with my glitter and my paint. So what I did is I took some of the spray paint, I put it in the cap, and then I used a pointed Q-tip. I got these on Amazon, and then I just kind of dabbed up the spots that you missed, and we go over it again with more UV resin, and we throw a second coat of glitter on there. Now I'm going to slow it down here in a second so you can actually see the difference when you coat it with 2 coats of glitter as opposed to 1. The larger handle has 2 coats, the first one only has 1. So you can see the vibrance and the color difference, which is why I do 2 coats of glitter. Now between each step, especially the paint, these have to dry. So they dry, they do whatever, they cure. So now we are on 2 coats of glitter and about, an additional 2 or 3 coats of UV resin. So now it's safe to sand. So I have a little nail drill, and you can see here that it's uneven. So I'm going to go in with my little nail drill, and I think the grit on this sandpaper is 120, maybe a little bit more. This process by far, aside from the water slide decals, which you're going to see here in a minute, this actually takes the longest. So I sand until I don't see any more shiny spots. And then after I'm done with the nail drill, I actually go in with 120 grit regular sandpaper. And here's the difference here. You're going to see the difference as far as the sanded versus the unsanded. Then I go in with 120 grit regular sandpaper, and I sand it again to make it even smoother. I didn't film this part, but then I go in with some Dawn, wash it off, and then I go in with some rubbing alcohol, and I clean it off with rubbing alcohol as well. So after the rubbing alcohol comes the decals. Now I use water slide decals, especially on these scissors, because they're not as thick as regular vinyl. And I'm going to zoom in here in just a minute so you can see what a bitch these things are. So when I put them on, they're not going to line up. You see how, again, I don't know if you could see it, but they don't line up. The great thing about water slides is that you can just continue moving them until you get them where you want them. The total pain in the ass is that these scissors obviously aren't even and they're not uniform. So you have to move the water slide and stretch it to where you want it. Now on the name here, you're going to see that I can't use 2 different kinds of vinyl. So I actually colored in the back of the water slide with some white paint, so the name would stick out when you put it on the actual scissor. If you've hung in there this long, you got about 45 seconds left, so thanks for bearing with me. Once we get all the water slides on, those have to dry for at least, I let them dry for a day. I wanted to show you also the name. This is when you take it off the backing, how you can see the name through with the white paint. Anyway, that one is also a pain in the ass because you have to put it on the handle, and the handle is curved, and they don't like to stay flat, especially when you're putting them on in reverse. So because I had a full office set to do, not just the scissors, this is the extent of what I recorded. And then after that, we put on a couple more coats until it is smooth. And here is the finished result. Again, which is why I charge what I charge. I don't do Mod Podge. I do UV resin. I love the way that it looks, how it's shiny, how it's even, and the durability is definitely a lot better than Mod Podge. So this is the full office set that I just finished doing. Thank you for hanging in there. I know it was a long video. I really appreciate it. Please let me know if you have any questions in the comments.